All right, let's dive into a story that's pretty wild. It pulls together ancient calendars, what's happening in space right now, and some truly staggering math. We're talking about a convergence set for 2025 with odds so low, well, they kind of make you sit up and pay attention.
So, let's rewind a bit. You remember 2012, right? The whole thing with the Mayan calendar, the movies, the news, this kind of global buzz that something huge was about to happen. And then, December 21st came and went, and we all just sort of moved on, filed it away as a weird bit of pop culture history.
But what if we were looking at it all wrong? What if 2012 wasn't the finish line? What if it was actually the starting gun for a new countdown? A countdown to a date that's, believe it or not, way more specific and, frankly, way more improbable.
And that brings us to the very first piece of this incredible puzzle. It all starts with a simple echo through time, connected by a number that was sacred in Mayan tradition.
Okay, so here's where the math starts to get really interesting. You take that 2012 solstice date and you add exactly 13 solar years to it. That's 4,745 days. And where do you land? You land perfectly on December 21st, 2025. Now, 13 wasn't just any number in Mayan cosmology. It was deeply, deeply significant. And the date isn't just close. It's the exact same solstice. So that's our first layer, a perfect echo across a sacred amount of time.
But here's the thing. That 2025 solstice date, it doesn't just hang there by itself. It's actually framed by a very specific and very ancient window of time. In Mesoamerican calendars, the year was made up of 18 months, each with 20 days. You do the math, that's 360 days. So what about the 5 leftover days? Well, they were called the Wayeb. This was a special time, kind of outside the normal flow of the calendar. It was set aside for purification, for reflection, a sacred pause before the new year kicked off.
And you're not going to believe this. That ancient 5-day Wayeb window, it aligns perfectly to bracket the 2025 solstice. It runs from December 19th to the 24th. So now we've got a sacred date perfectly framed by a sacred window of time. But the story is just getting started.
Okay, so now we need to shift gears. We're going to move from ancient calendars to modern-day astronomy, because while all of this is lining up on paper, something truly extraordinary is happening up in the sky.
Right now, there is a rare interstellar object, a visitor from outside our solar system named 3I/Atlas that's making its way through our neighborhood. And on December 19th, 2025, it's going to reach its perigee. That's the closest it will get to Earth. And that date is the very first day of that wave window we just talked about. I mean, what a piece of celestial timing.
And just when you think it can't get any weirder, there's one more layer to this cosmic dance. At this exact same time, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune are going to form a rare triangular pattern in the sky. It's a beautiful, symmetrical alignment that astronomers know as a grand water trine. It just adds another layer of astronomical rarity to the pile.
So let's just pause and recap this for a second because it's a lot. We have 4 things that have no business being related to each other. A 13-year echo from an ancient calendar, a sacred 5-day period, the arrival of a visitor from another star system, and a rare planetary alignment. Any one of those is pretty cool, but what are the odds that they would all happen at the exact same time? This is where we get to the mathematical heart of this whole thing. Because you can actually calculate the probability of these events lining up so perfectly. And the answer is pretty staggering. Let's just break down the math. The odds of that 5-day Webb window landing on any given day, about 1 in 73. The odds of that interstellar object's closest approach falling within that specific window, about 1 in 146. The odds of that specific planetary pattern happening near the solstice, that's about 1 in 730. And then the source material adds this really fascinating final piece, the probability of a single person even connecting all these different dots, which it estimates at 1 in 500.
So what happens when you multiply the odds of all of these totally unrelated events happening and being noticed all at the same time?
The answer is 1 in 10 million. Just let that sink in for a second. The statistical likelihood of this specific convergence of culture, the cosmos, and consciousness is 1 in 10 million.
I mean, a number that big is really hard to wrap your head around. So what does that actually mean? How do we even begin to put a probability that small into perspective?
Well, this chart helps a little. You are about 10 times more likely to be struck by lightning in your lifetime. You have a significantly better chance of winning a major lottery jackpot. This alignment we're talking about is an event of truly, truly breathtaking rarity.
And this isn't just a fun number. In the world of science, a 1 in 10 million probability is what's called a 5 sigma result. That is the gold standard. It's the level of certainty you need to announce a major discovery, like finding the Higgs boson. If you got a result this rare in a lab, it would mean you've almost certainly discovered something real.
Now, this is really, really important to be clear about. This is not a prophecy. The data is not predicting some kind of apocalypse or a divine intervention. But what it does suggest is an event with such a profound level of order that it becomes really, really hard to just dismiss it as random chance. It feels less like random noise and more like a signal.
And this quote from the source material just nails the takeaway perfectly. The point isn't to say, this is true, but to say, wow, this is far too ordered to just ignore. It's not an answer. It's an invitation to be curious.
So let's just boil it all down. In December 2025, we've got this incredible convergence of ancient calendars, modern astronomy, and just human insight. The combined odds of it all lining up are 1 in 10 million. Now, it's not proof of anything supernatural, but it is what the source calls a quantitative marker of wonder, a measurable improbability that should inspire a little awe.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Look, coincidences happen all the time, but when completely separate rhythms, from the cosmos, from ancient cultures, and from human consciousness, all decide to strike the exact same note at the exact same time, it's probably worth pausing for a moment to listen. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.